Hi, Gary here in today's video. Some tips that I wish I knew when I started cycling. Tip number 1, wear whatever the hell you want, but shorts with a pad zone in is way more comfortable than normal shorts and a padded saddle. Some cycling shorts that you'll see for sale are big shorts, so they've got straps that go over your shoulders. You stop them from sliding down, and they're a lot more comfortable than they look. Eat while you ride during your ride, even eat candy snakes, okay? It doesn't have to be sweets, but consider eating something during your ride. It doesn't have to be while you're riding, although that is a useful skill to learn. But stopping by the side of the road and taking some time to get some fuel in is really important, because riding a bike can be very low intensity. The sessions can end up quite long compared to other forms of exercise, and because you can cover such distances, it's very easy to ride quite far away from home and then have to come all the way back. So always having food in your pocket and regularly eating small bits will probably stop you from experiencing one of the worst things that can happen on a bike ride. Bonking runners call it hitting the wall. Not a nice experience, and to be honest, it's something most of us have done. Let me know in the comment section if you've experienced the bonk and what it feels like. Personally, I find sweets really easy to eat because they're small, and you can just have a couple when you're riding along. Other good alternatives are bananas or jam sandwiches or even chocolate bars. Anything you're going to crave while you're out on a ride is good if you're going to be getting clipped in shoes. You've actually got some grip on the bottom of your shoe. They were just kind of unnecessary. Yes, there's a bigger contact patch, so where you clip into the pedal is a little bit more secure. The whole system, pedal and shoe included, is. But it's not that much difference, and these you can walk around in. It's easier to clip in and out if you're first starting out. And modern mountain bike shoes look like road shoes anyway. The cleats on mountain bike shoes are also made of metal. They tend to last much longer. They're also cheaper to replace. If you're looking to buy some, my recommendation would be Shaman, SPD, or something similar. I would also say if you're new to it, look at your set of pedals and see if there's an adjustment screw. If you undo that screw as much as possible, that will make the pedal easier to clip in and get out of as well. It may save you the embarrassment of getting stuck in your pedals when you're first starting out. Most people, when they start out riding bikes, will be using butyl inner tubes. This is what they look like inside their tires. If you get a puncture, it's because this has a hole in it. Now and nobody got time to fix these by the side of the road. You can buy patches with a little tube of glue, the ones that work better than the pre-glued ones, and you can find a puncture on the tube and stick a patch on it to fix it. Doing this by the side of the road can be problematic. It interrupts your ride. It can be cold. You can be on a main road with your cars coming past you, and if you're riding with other people, they've got to wait for you to do it. It's to just take a spare tube with you. Always take one. Even if you're tubeless, just take one anyway. That's how big a 700C road tube is, and that's how big a gravel/commutive tube is. They're not that big. They will both fit in a pocket or small saddlebag. So that is another one of my tips that I wish I knew. Don't waste your time patching things by the side of the road. Layering clothing is the best way to. When you go out cycling, the range of temperatures you can experience is vast, often down to the varying speeds that you're doing on a bike. You can go from riding up a hill at 5 miles an hour, overheating, to descending at 40 miles an hour down a mountain in the space of like 5 minutes. When I first started riding, I bought a nice thick winter jacket because it was winter at the time, and soon realized that it was a bit too much. When I went on a hilly ride when I did go for a hilly ride, I was stuck in this jacket that was just too hot. And then you end up sweating inside and then getting cold as soon as you're on the flat or a descent after. Instead of that, I would have been better off wearing a thinner layer and then a chili over the top, so you can unzip different bits of kit and regulate your temperature as you go. Our cycling kit is a pretty big topic, and I think I'm going to do a separate video with my friends from Atticus going through all the different options. But have a look at chilies, basically just a sleeveless vest with a zip in it, and I think it's one of the most versatile pieces of kit you can. Learn to measure your rides in time rather than distance. We've all done it, convinced ourselves. 50K is a short ride and then got home 4 hours later having climbed 1,000 meters and desperate for food. Average speed and distance are not the most relevant metrics when it comes to measuring performance or to plan your rides bike. I think of rides based on hours in the saddle and eventually started using heart rate data and power to measure performance. There are so many different variables to take into account, like elevation, wind, terrain. Is it off-road or on-road? All of these things can have drastic effects on your speed, so try not to worry about your average speed so much, and definitely don't compare it to people's rides on other. It's just not comparable. Clean your drivetrain after every ride. I was always lazy about this when I first started out. When you get back from a ride, the last thing you want to do is start cleaning your bike, and that ended up costing me lots of money. When your drivetrain is covered in crown and you keep riding it, it wears out all the parts at an accelerated rate. As a perfect example, I've had this mountain bike for 3 and ridden in the mud every single ride because that's what happens with mountain biking, and the whole drivetrain is dead. I've got to replace the whole thing and it's costing me lots of money. Regular road or commuter riding is not as extreme as that, and a little bit of maintenance. Wiping down your chain and cassette after riding, which takes 2 minutes, will stop that kind of thing happening and save you a lot of money. Something as simple as warm, soapy water. Washing up liquid is a greaser. It'll work perfectly fine. You might just have to scrub a bit. We can get something a little bit more aggressive like GT85. This is what loads of mechanics use in the workshop. Sometimes I'll use MOF as well. Once you've cleaned all of this, make sure you add some chain loop back on. A little bit of effort after every ride will save you loads of money if you're going to be riding 2 days in a row, then you want to get calories in straight away. As soon as you get home, within 15 minutes of finishing your ride, putting calories in will make you recover better. I never realized the full benefits of this, but it really does make a huge difference. It's usually a case of just tweaking your routine when you come back from riding, a little bit like the bike cleaning thing. It's just forming a habit. If you're just starting out, it doesn't need to be anything fancy. Look for carbohydrates, as they seem to do the most good. It doesn't have to be a fancy protein or a recovery drink. Just some regular food can make a huge difference. There are no real secrets, and it might sound a bit cliche, but sleep and nutrition are the 2 biggest things that you need to focus on when it comes to recovering properly. By eating food quickly, you're going to be refueling your body, replenishing those glycogen stores, replenishing electrolytes, which you lose through sweating, promoting muscle repair, and bolstering your immune system, so you're less likely to get sick if you're refueling properly and fueling on your ride as well. Cycling can be a stressful activity. Why make it harder for yourself if you can just tweak a few of your habits and get into a good routine? Riding behind someone can be 30% less effort than riding next to them. Drafting or riding behind someone is one of the main tactics involved in bike racing, and for good reason. You save a huge amount of energy, even more so when you're in a group of cyclists, so that's why you'll see people riding very closely together when they're out on longer rides. To put it into perspective, if you work with power in cycling, you're doing 300 watts. To stay on someone's wheel, you might have to be doing up to 400 watts to ride next to them. 300 watts is way more sustainable for most people than 400. If you're riding with a few people, consider alternating who's riding on the front to spread the effort. If you're new to it, ride as close as you are, comfortable to the person in front. Ease yourself into it. There's no pressure at all. Lastly, the single most important thing that I wish I knew when I was starting out: there are no rules. Drive wearing whatever clothes you want, whatever bike you. At any pace that you want to ride it, the way you set up your bike or the way you ride it is nobody else's business. Just do what you want to do. And as the end of my 10 tips, please leave a like and a comment down below. It really helps, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.